Hey everybody, it's Chris, and today we're looking at the first of two dynamic releases for this year. First up is going to be the Emac Judge. This is the new putter, obviously. It has the word Judge in it. And it has a very familiar flight wing, but the bead has changed significantly. In fact, I'll do some photos after my intro, but you're going to see the wing is actually really similar to the wing of a Judge, regular Judge, minus the bead. The bead is really similar to a disc that I'm going to use from outside the Trilogy lineup, and that's a Challenger. Very similar feel in the hand, not exact, but a very familiar feel in the hand. Now that's important to me because before Dynamic started making discs, I primarily used two putters. Mostly Challengers for putting, and then Wizards were my backup. They were my favorite thrower as well. So when Dynamic came in and they made the Judge, for me it was an easy transition. It felt like a flat top Wizard, it fit my hand perfectly, and actually I putted well with it. So I've had 8 years of experience with that. Now I'll be honest and say, if the Emac Judge had been their first disc out 8 years ago, I would definitely be putting and throwing with these. They feel incredible in the hand. It would have been a super easy transition from the Challenger. Yeah, I'm going to have a lot of positive things to say about this. I usually try to keep my reviews so that you flatline, like just tell you about the disc. But I'm going to be honest and say I really like the Emac Judge, and I think it's going to be a popular mold. Again, if the Judge hadn't come out 8 years ago, I'd probably be throwing it out. So let's talk about it a little bit. Now, that change to the wing, the little micro bead, faux bead on the bottom, is going to cause a little bit of flight difference. But what I found is it doesn't make it understable compared to the Judge. Well, it is less stable. Less overstable, I should say. So with a blend Judge, I can expect a flight that's going to dump out at the end. With this, it is going to fade at the end, but it's going to hold that straight line a lot longer, and it's just not going to fade as much. So in the stability terms, it is a more stable disc, as in it flies straight. It will hold a turn, it will hold a fade. You're going to see those shots in here. And I will compare it to both a blend and a soft Judge, because I think it actually compares better to a slightly worked in soft Judge stability-wise. Not beat in, not torn up, but just a slightly worked in Judge. Now, what else can I say about it? Putting-wise, if you like a small bead or a faux bead, this is going to be a very good feel. It compares in the hand to a Warden or a Judge because of that wing shape, so it's going to be familiar if you've putted with one of those. So if either one of those have been really close but not quite what you're looking for, this could be the perfect disc for you. It puts smooth. What I found was I had to adjust to it because I'm used to that big bead on the Judge. But when I started to really follow through and get a little bit of spin on it, especially when I got a little bit of spin on it, this disc was just super straight, banging chains. I'm actually going to include some of my misses at the end of the video, so stick around for those. But you're going to see during the round when I really started to click with this disc, some of the putts I was making with ease. That familiar feel from 8 years ago was really coming back, and just putting got smooth as I was warming up. So overall, this disc is very similar to the Judge wing-wise, with that micro or faux bead on the bottom. It is not a maiden. It has a very different feel in the hand. I should include a picture of that. I'll try to grab one. If I don't, I apologize, but it is definitely not a maiden. It is closer to the Judge. It is definitely in that family, just a slightly adapted bead. So let's go to the video. If you have any questions or comments, please put them below so I can get back to you. Otherwise, enjoy me succeeding and at the end failing with the Emac Judge, and we'll get to the Evader soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day. Alright, so a few disc comparisons. Here is Judge on the left, Emac Judge on the right. You can see the similar wing build with the different bead. Here's that faux bead comparison with Challenger on the left, Judge on the right, Emac Judge on the right. Compared to the Mercy, this is something people ask me about. You can see the difference in the actual nose shape. And here's the Maiden. The Maiden is a little bit flatter on top. There are some similarities, but also some differences here as well. Now to the front yard. This is the day I got them. I took them right out and started putting in the front yard to see how things could go, or would go. You're going to see the misses later, but what I was figuring out in the front yard is that if I gave a little bit of spin as I popped my hand out, the disc seemed to travel very straight, and I started hitting a little bit more. You're seeing some wobbles here that'll get cleaned up at least a little bit later on, but not too much. I tend to have wobble in my putt. So we're going out to the field now. This is actually take 2. This morning I tried to record and it was so foggy that the Emac Judges disappeared. But you can see just a little bit of hyzer, 70% power, nice gentle fade. Compared to a soft Judge that's been in my bag for a little bit, very similar flights. So this reminds me a lot of a soft Judge that isn't completely brand new but has just a few rounds on it, which is a flight that I love. Compared to the blend Judge, not quite as overstable. Yes, I popped the blend Judge up here. Not the best shot, apologies. But you can see the blend Judge is just a little bit more overstable, has a little more aggressive finish. Then we'll see it on hyzer. You can see just throw it out on like an 80% loop. Holds that line perfectly the entire way to the ground. And then Anheuser, same thing. This is thrown a little bit harder, but you can see it holds that ante all the way to the ground as well. Taking it out to the course, this is a 70, maybe 80%. Just a nice gentle throw to get it outside the tunnel toward the basket. Easy cleanup with the putter. I should hit that one every time. That doesn't mean I always do. A little bit longer putt on the next hole off the evader was standing behind. And then a hyzer throw. You can see how nicely it holds this line through or down into that tunnel, and you're going to see where I ended up as well. Got lucky through some trees, but you could see when you put it on hyzer, it does want to hold that line as long as you don't overpower it. Here's a straighter throw, and you're going to see I did throw it to the right of the gap, and it is going to hold that line until the very end when it fades back just enough to set up another easy putt. Once again, putts I should make and almost missed twice, but managed to remember there's no room for comments on the scorecard. Here's another straight throw, a little bit of height so it'll fade at the end. And just overthrew the basket. Actually, it had enough glide that I had to make the comeback putt. And there I am putting from the evader again. What you might notice in this video is that I don't have a lot of comparison shots. That's because I was throwing the Emac Judge and evader and enjoying them so much while I was out that I kind of forgot to throw the other stuff. But this does give a good representation of how it throws and how I was putting with it that day. Again, here's that throw with like 85% maybe, and it just holds that nice straight line and fades at the end. As long as you don't overpower it or tilt it too much, it really does want to hold that line. And then when it came to putting, as long as I gave it just that little bit of spin at the end, I was having pretty decent success with it. Although you will get to see the misses in a few seconds, or in a little bit. You can see that I was dialing it in as the round went on. One more throw. You can see I added a little bit more power to this one, and it was a little lower, and it held just that tiniest bit of turn until it hit the ground. And again, this was intentionally forced over. It was on target, but I did hit a tree. That's a hazard of playing in the woods, obviously. And that last putt to clean up. Now, as I promised, we are going to show some misses, and this is just again, a representation of learning putters. This putter did feel very different in my hand than what I'm used to with the Judge. It feels a lot like what I putted with 8 years ago, but that's not 8 years of muscle memory. So I did have to adjust to slightly different flight, slightly different feel in the hand, which changes the release as well. And that did take time, but as you saw in the video, with some time and effort, results came from it. So that could be a lesson for any putter, really. If you kind of have to learn how a putter throws, go with what feels comfortable in your hand, obviously, but then take the time to learn the putter and learn how to make putts with it. So, hope you enjoyed the video. In recap, Emac Judge is a new variant of the Judge. They've shaved off the big bead and put on a micro or faux bead at the bottom, so a very different feel in the hand. Not quite as overstable, more of a stable, straight thrower, but I think a wonderful addition to the dynamic putter lineup. I think it kind of slots feel-wise between the Judge and the Warden, and flight-wise just a little bit less overstable than both of them. So hope you enjoyed the review. As always, please put questions and comments below so I can get back to you, and thanks for watching.